What does financial advice mean to you?
Means making good decisions, informed decisions.
FHSSS. What is it? What makes it so good?
I remember advocating for this since 2018.
I feel like it's a secret.
That's a good one.
Investing over a long period of time, great wealth.
Such a good question.
General advice only.
General advice only.
Welcome back to another episode of That Backyard Property Podcast. Today is special. We have one of the most genuine, caring people I've ever had the pleasure of knowing. And I've known him for a while now. We've got the director and financial advisor from Falcon Wealth Management. Welcome, Wes.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for the introduction.
You're welcome.
I like your words.
You're welcome. I've always admired you. I feel that there's always a good energy around you, and I think you gravitate towards people that give you good energy. So
It's mutual.
it's good to have you in. We're going to cover off first home super saver scheme, investments for kids, and a range of different other financial advice type questions. I love starting the conversation with what a home means. You're not originally from Australia as well, which makes this even more interesting. So if I mention to you what does a home mean to you, what do you think of?
Okay, well, that's a good question. I guess home is not a physical place. For me, it would be, it's a mix of feelings. I call Australia home now. But as you said, home is actually Brazil. And then I guess it's where you feel grounded, where your heart is, and the people that surround you. So it's living overseas, it's a mix of feelings. Because once you're here, you feel happy, but then you miss them. And then once you're there, you feel, oh, I've got my place there, but I love being here. There was a choice that was made a while ago, but I think it's a sense of feel grateful and just, look around and see the people that are there for you. So that's home for me.
I'm always fascinated by people that move to another country, especially when it's a different language as well, and the ability to go to that country, feel comfortable in that country, and then be a part of that community is fascinating for me. How have you found that transition from Brazil to Australia?
Well, I wouldn't say that was easy. That was challenging, and I like challenges. So I made the decision after missing a very good job opportunity back home, and I always dreamed of having an international experience and learning English. So I decided to come to Perth because everyone's telling me, I've got some friends over, there was a quiet place. And I was like, wow, that's good. I can focus on, and then I don't want to parties and things like that. But something that was remarkable for me was the first 2 weeks. I was crying every day. And I remember calling grandmother, and my brother's birthday, and I said, grandmother, it's extremely hard. I can't understand people in this house. I managed to set up my internet, but still I don't know what to do, and I feel that I'm not going to make it. And then she just looked at me and said, well, you're a man, and then you choose this. So just keep up. Do you have food on your plate? I said, yes. Do you have shelter? Yes. So what are you doing? And then I stopped crying immediately, and I realized how privileged I was. So the next week, I got a job at Rockpool in the casino. I was super happy. I got to know people, and then the mindset was very okay. Let's just make this experience, special. And from there, I had ups and downs, but I never lost hope. Yeah, that's a bit of in a nutshell.
Did you always have a sense of resilience growing up?
I believe so. On my on my way here, I was actually thinking, wow, what can I say to Michael that really sparkles how I feel and who I am? I think it's a sense of resilience, especially when you kind of think of 20 years ago, who I was and where I was, and given the family story, it's kind of crazy because I didn't think I'd make this far. Yeah. I mean, I dreamed of, but yeah, and the sense of resilience comes with the adjustments that you need to make along the way. Yeah.
When you talk about 20 years, it's obviously quite a long period of time, but what you've been able to achieve in your period of time in Australia in, 10 years now, has it been?
Oh,
15 years?
nearly 14
14
years.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel, again, privileged, blessed, called, because I feel successful. It's this might be different for everyone, right? And what I realize is that I have definitely transformed my life over the years through education, and patience. It requires, the avoidance of comparison. I don't do that generally. Everyone is different. Again, that might be one of my key messages today. Everyone is different, and then being able to be here talking to you. I mean, understand what you're saying. After years, now with Falcon, I never had the thought that I would become an entrepreneur. I had the mindset of being an entrepreneur, but then it took a while for me to step up and apply some, I would say, courage to actually do it. And I feel extremely happy for that. So the achievements are far beyond financial achievements. It's more about being happy, spend time with friends, being there for her, and also being able to help others.
So from that young man that couldn't speak English, that was calling his grandma, crying, and now to being a director of your own business, that's quite remarkable.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, isn't it?
It is. It's amazing. And I know the amount of care, as I said at the very start, and your genuine nature to helping people is what shines through as a financial advisor. And I've always loved listening to you talk to people that have basic questions around financial advice, and you thrive on that because you are making a difference to their lives. What does financial advice mean to you?
It's a transformation. Some time ago, I was talking to a friend, and she was telling me, "You're good at finance because that's everything that you ever been into in terms of studies." And I said to her, "It's nothing to do with studies. It's because when I lost mom, I read the Poor Dad, Rich Dad, and that book changed my life because I realized that I need to do something different to change the course of things. That's why I wouldn't be here if I didn't make good choices." But getting back to your question, I think being a financial advisor means making good decisions, informed decisions. So, and then it's about understanding what you want first, and then make a plan and stick to the plan. So, and be patient because I'm now 39, and I think you sort of around that, 37 something. And by the time that your 20s, you feel like, well, yeah, I'm going to go to parties and everything's going to be fine by the time that I'm 30. And then you're 30, you have your 30 crisis and then 40 crisis. So the crisis is okay, but as a financial advisor, I actually own it. It's not something that I do as a job. Yes, it covers my living expenses and everything, but it's a purpose. So I helped myself through finance. That's why I share some of the things that I learned along the way, and I now um, I'm now trying to apply some authority, because it's not about having masters or hold the director title. It's the all the setbacks that we went through and the life experiences that made me strong, so I can be a good financial advisor to myself and to others.
It's probably one of those industries that not everyone fully appreciates, about having a financial advisor or having a professional that can advise you on your wealth management and being able to get you to the goals that you have in your family life. Why do you think that? Do you think it's because of cost, or do you think it's because people have a perception of financial advisors that they don't deserve to have one? What do you think is the barrier for people to actually seek someone like yourself?
Yeah, I think that's the myth of being a high cost. And my answer to this, when I'm talking to people, is what is the cost of not having one? Do you know? By ignorance, you're going to do heaps of things. You're going to talk to your friends and family members. They will advise you, oh, do this, right? And but once you've got the knowledge, then if you go the pros and cons, the benefits and implications, then you're going to make a sound financial decision. So do not base on the people's opinion to form yours. That's one of the things that I carry. So if I want to talk to you, I'll talk and understand the value that you can provide to me. That's it. What's the value? Do not rely on what people say about financial advisors. Things are changing, and every business is different. So how about, we talk over coffee so I can understand how I can help you, and then I'll say, well, let's move on with the process. Otherwise, it's just guidance, directions, and that's it.
Yeah. Which we need in our life.
Exactly.
Which we need. We have become a society of busy, and being busy also means we're not looking after possibly our health, our physical health, but also our financial health as well. And so having a gym or a personal trainer for your physical health, I would see a financial advisor to be the same for your financial wealth. I really want to tackle a few different topics that are so constant in my life from other people that ask me that I can't actually provide the advice on. The first one I'd love to chat about, and I know you're a big advocate of this for anyone listening, for context, First Home Super Saver Scheme, FHSSS.
Yes.
What is it and what makes it so good?
That is one of the great incentives that the government has provided ever. And I remember advocating for this since 2018 when the government actually launched the program. So it basically allows you to use your super to buy your first property. Let's remember the key requirement to be older than 18 years old, never have owned a property in Australia, and have the intention to live in their property. So you put the funds up to 15,000 into super, and your taxable income will be dropping. As a result, you can save more. I would say that it depends on everyone's income, but generally speaking, you can save $5,000. So if you do the strategy for 3 years, 3 financial years, it's $15,000. It's heaps of money. Plus, if you've got a partner, we're talking about $30,000. I did myself, and then you know about it. So and then that was great. It helps definitely people to boost up the deposit to make sure that they can achieve the goal of buying the first property.
So your benefits really are forced savings, and there's tax benefits depending on your taxable income.
Another thing to be said is that with the money that you put inside super, it's still earning interest. Right now, if you just not do it, you're saving, but you can save more strategically, let's say, because the funds is still earning interest, which helps along the way.
It's important to note that it's not your super balance. It has to be voluntary contributions towards that scheme, right?
Yes, it must be extra contributions. You know, some people get confused and go, oh, I'll use my super to buy a property. This is not a self-managed super fund. Well, it could be to a degree, but yes, the rule is very clear. That's the money that you put extra into super voluntarily.
It's such a good scheme.
It
If
is.
more people used it, more people don't know about it. And as soon as you understand it and you're willing to do it, the more people will actually use it. I feel like it's this secret that hasn't really come out yet.
It's been there for ages, but as we were talking before, so why don't you brace yourself with, help and good professionals so they can tell you what to do? And then it can help a lot. So for those people that purchase a property from 2018-19, I mean, their first property and didn't use, they now might be regretting from that.
Number 2, investing for kids.
That's a good one.
We, as parents, myself included, we obviously want the best for our children. And we know that investing over a long period of time will create great wealth in whatever it might be. When people are asking you about what they should do to invest for their children or their kids, what's some strategies that you're aware of or that you advocate for, and what do you generally tell them?
Okay.
General advice only.
General advice only. My mind is pretty sad. I think there might be some financial products out there like Vanguard that they're allowing you to establish an investment portfolio for your kids. So if you do that for 15 years, of course, there might be some money, and the compounding is going to work for you. However, having said that, I believe it's more about creating your own wealth as a parent, particularly because of this craziness about property market. So if you actually want to help your kid, keep building your wealth, later on you can sell your property. You can just say, well, I'll hand over this unit for you so you don't need to buy, and you can take care of your unit tuition. Because back in the days, everyone was thinking of education, which is fair enough. But I guess with the property, if you're able to get some investment property, for instance, down the track, I think it's going, if we keep assuming that properties will keep growing by 6% a year, it's kind of crazy. The population now is 27,000. By 2055, I think the expectation is 47 million. So where those people going to live? So it's not a financial advice, but I definitely believe that the structure should be around creating your own wealth as a parent and making sure that you've got the right strategies in terms of tax, like a family trust or something, to protect the assets and take from there.
It's so funny. I'd never thought about it in that context, because we're so focused on doing something for them that the reality is the more we do for ourselves, the better off we are. Almost put the oxygen mask on yourself first on the plane and then your kids. Yeah. Because you're better off. I think that as part of that, by doing your own financial or looking after your own financial well-being, you're probably then discussing that with your kids. And the more financial literacy that's discussed in our households, the better. So I can see it now being, from that perspective, a really important piece of the puzzle.
Communication is key. You got to talk about financials and how mom and dad makes money, right? And then you go like, well, if dad doesn't go to work, we might not have money. So without money, we can have food. And then they start to learn, oh yeah, dad needs to work. Okay. And then I get kids saying, sometimes when I have enjoyed meeting, yeah, I want to work like daddy, because we need to bring money. Yeah. And some kids, they say, I want to be rich. What is rich? And other day I saw this video, this kid was crying because the mom told him that he was poor. I was like, we're poor. We don't have much money, but it was a funny video. It's nothing to do with money. And then he was like, why am I poor? You know what I mean? But again, communication is very important in the family household. And I believe that things are changing, technology, all those things. We don't even know what would be the jobs in 20 years. The traditional way that we lived in might not be the same that they will live. So let's build some wealth and distribute the wealth later on.
I like it. I like it a lot, actually. Number 3, there's so much in the media around the $3 million super balance tax and tax on unrealized gains. Can you give a really brief overview of what is actually being discussed here, and also just your views on what it means and whether it is actually going to affect the majority of people?
There is a high concentration of wealth people in Australia, particularly in WA. I'm not sure if you knew about this, but the Division 296 imposed by the government, it's about to come into effect after 1st of July, and it means that everyone with a higher balance than $3 million would be actually paying more tax. Right now it's 15%, and it's increasing to 30% on the unrealized capital gains. And this is something a bit complex, to be honest, because, there are, how much money the fund is actually making. Is there any contribution that's going to be sent across to superannuation? Therefore, it's very important. I know that everyone says, well, it's very important to have a financial advisor. But look, people, it's not just about, because this person has $3 million. Everyone's supposed to get help and seek for help. In my mind, I think it doesn't... it's something that I wasn't expecting, but I guess the government is trying to get a bit of a love from those people earning, with this good amount of balance inside superannuation. And it might change a bit estate planning, because with the higher tax you pay, you might think differently. And when you distribute assets, they'll be crucial to reassess everything to make sure that you track well and then you know what to do. There are some of my clients, I tell them to start spending money. What's the point? To maybe get closer to retirement, have $3 million there, and just get off the house every day and grab a coffee. Do something different.
What are we accumulating the money for?
Exactly. Yeah, but I guess it's a mindset too. We all different. Some people, they remain frugal. Other people, they believe that they can afford. Seriously, some people, they are wealthy and they believe they can afford to buy something. And yes, well, it's relative.
On that topic, if anyone hasn't listened to The Purposeful Investor, Aidan Wilkins and David Andrew, they had an episode and it was titled "The Richest Person in the Cemetery."
Yeah.
And I thought, that's so good. What are we accumulating the money for if we're not going to use it? Obviously, we're trying to plan for retirement. That's what super is for. But what's the point of just hoarding?
Yeah. I'm sure that you have realized this, but I've seen people changing the way they talk about money, as opposed to say, I want to get rich. People now saying, I want to be wealthy. That's a way different. Being wealthy, it's a balance between your lifestyle, your family, your loved ones, your money, and your purpose. being rich means if you go, okay, $3 million in your bank account, but friends that don't like you, you don't have a good connection with family, and you're asshole. I don't know. It's just it's for me. It's very powerful, and I keep reflecting on that every day. You gotta have an abundant life, otherwise, why you are waking up every day to work, and why work so much sometimes?
You're talking to somebody who puts a lot of time into work.
Oh, you're passionate about your work, sir.
I'm passionate about it. I also have a really strong why,
Yeah.
and my wife Jemima, who you know well, and we both work hard and we work alongside each other. And our two girls have their own little wooden laptops, and they have their own little wooden phones, and so it's clearly passing off onto them that they walk outside and take a phone call, or they're sitting there typing away. So whether that's a good thing to be passing on to them, or whether it's saying, actually, you don't need to work as hard as what mum and dad are working, I don't know the balance of that just yet.
I think you do actually, and I'm not a parent, but kids will copy, and there are such good things about it, because you show them love, you show that you care for your clients, and your determination is pretty good. So I've seen you, since 2017 doing your strange calls. I remember that as it was yesterday, and then you're now here, so it proves a lot about the sense of set your mind for what you want. You know what I mean? That's, I guess, the inheritance that your kids are getting. That's the legacy that you're going to give to them. And later on, they're going to decide what to do. But you are a good example for them.
On that point, I asked my 5-year-old this morning. I said, I'm doing another podcast today, and she said, and I said, is there anything you really want me to say to Wes? So what I have to tell you today, because it has to be recorded, is I love my kids. That's what you wanted me to say.
Okay.
Just make sure you just tell Wes I love my kids. So there you go.
See?
Clemmy, that one's for you.
Oh, Clem, okay. Hey, Clem, I'm sure that one day you're going to be watching this.
So in terms of financial advice, you must get asked the question from people around what to invest in. It must be such a common question, or is it not as common as I would be led to believe?
I mean, in terms of purely investment?
Yeah, like you must have people just say, hey, Wes, same for me. Hey, Michael, what's a good interest rate?
Yeah.
Oh, it depends on your circumstances. People say, hey, Wes, what should I put money into? What should I invest in? Is that something that comes up?
Decreasing a bit. People are reaching out to, first they'll be like, hey, Wes, what services do you provide and how much do you charge? And secondly, you'll be like, I want to do this, and I want to know if you can help me. And once, back in the days, people say, I have 10,000. Where do I put my money? It just made me wonder now that the questions are changing. And I think it's for good, because it's not just where you put your money. What do you want? What do you want? I decline heaps people saying, I've got 10,000, 20,000, I want to invest, but I need this money in 6 months. Man, I could just build a plan, charge for it, but I get like the chances of getting this wrong, it's high, because it's a very short time of period. How about if you think 10 years, oh no, I can't. Well, I don't think that you're ready to invest then, or maybe just a portion of this money. People, they get super excited when they see Instagram videos, these days. And I think sometimes my job is to tell them, not sometimes actually, is to tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear.
Do you think the questions from the clients are changing because our understanding of finance is changing, or do you think the questions are changing because of your level of experience being able to guide them towards the right outcome?
I think maybe both. With the advance of technology, people are now asking ChatGPT where they're supposed to put their money, I guess. And it's so cool. If you do this, the ChatGPT will be say, well, you can do this, this, and this, but you better speak to a financial advisor. I have done myself just to check it. But I think there is an element of people seeing financial advisors maybe differently. And it's, I don't know, the society is changing, definitely, yes.
Which is a good thing, I think, because you're hoping that the rise of finfluencers has brought to light the need for some professional advice, and you just hope that it just raises the questions rather than people taking action on whatever the finfluencer is saying.
You know what is funny? I'm aware that people are selling courses and just inviting them to a master class, all those things. And the other day I was reflecting, I'll be extremely busy for the next few years because everyone doing these courses, of course, I think some of the content might be valid, but you can remain relying on the barefoot investor. I mean, it's just this much of level. It's to sort of build a foundation, but the book is already sort of outdated. Things have changed, you know what I mean? And then with the influences, I don't think that the majority of them act in the best interest of whoever is watching them. It's about selling courses. The way that I say is, I personally, we always talk to someone that knows who Wesley friend is. And then we make a decision, as opposed to get a book and not be able to make a decision, because that's what happens. You look at the figure, oh yeah, I can't afford $300, but I can afford a financial advisor. Well, I'll do this. But the majority of people that I speak with, they don't move. They don't move. They can't make a decision. It's too hard.
Action takers and decision makers.
Exactly.
I still think there's definitely a place for something like the Barefoot Investor because it as I said, it raises questions and makes you think about things differently and gives you ideas. But the need for that professional in your life, as I've said for a number of years, that triangle of influence, and you sit within it. So you've got a mortgage broker because the art of borrowing money is so key. You've got a financial advisor because you need to understand the wealth and how to grow that and where you are trying to get to. And then the third part of the triangle is your accountant. You have to understand the taxation system, and you need those three pieces of the triangle to be able to move forward, because without that and without having all three professionals, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and in my opinion, it's like you got to build a team that you can trust, because what they do every day should make sure that you don't do anything stupid and then you know what you're doing. It's just psychologically speaking, people, they feel bad if they losing money, right? If you ask me to invest 10,000 next year remains 10,000, you're going to be okay. But if I say, hey, Mike, 7,000, man, we lost 3. What happened, man? What we did wrong? Nothing to do with right or wrong, but it's a long game, Mike. It's okay. We're going to recover the loss. So it's important to understand the big picture and have this support, because it's not, people make mistakes when they think with emotions. And we have emotions every day, so it's hard to make a decision. So the professional, an accountant, a mortgage broker, and I remember that I went through the process. You manage that very well because you don't know what to expect, and then the bank asks for an additional document, and then I remember you said to me, hey Wes, just leave with me. I'll get there. You can't do this with ChatGPT or or just knock a bank's door. You know what I mean? It's different. Get help.
Yeah. I still see it as the 3 C's: confidence, clarity, and communication. You need someone to be able to provide all 3 of those to you, because the ability to act, as we said, people don't act. They don't act because they don't have the confidence to act, and they don't have the clarity to be able to act as well. So anyway, that's the three pieces of the triangle for me. Super balance and retirement is obviously something you're helping people prepare for. Do you sit down with them and work out what super balance they need at the end of their working life to be able to live the next 30 years in their life in a comfortable way? Is that part of the strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess one of the main benefits that I can see I'm providing to people these days is the vision. So after going through the foundation and get to know the goals and everything, most of my plans now, they have a 10-year projection, and particularly for those seeking early retirement or preparing for retirement, you gotta see the growth. Otherwise, you don't act. And I believe that this is extremely meaningful, because once you see the big picture, then you're going to feel confident. You're going to have the clarity that if you do this, the chances of you getting there, it's actually true, it's real. Of course, things will change, the economy goes up and down, but once you've got a plan, Michael, I can guarantee your goal will be achieved. Your goal will be achieved. Those without a plan, the goal might be achieved. That's a huge difference. So with the projections, super is not the only asset that we need to look into. People are getting very fussy on the condition to release. Hey, Wes, I can't access these funds up until I'm 60. Exactly. What are we building outside super? Because according to the law, you can start accessing your super balance after 60. But if you're planning to retire at 52, you're going to have a gap. That's why it's important to have a diversified portfolio, properties, financial market, whatever your preferences will be, to actually be able to say, okay, for 8 years, I'll fund myself with this rental income. Once I'm 60, then I can access this and keep the ball rolling.
Whilst you're in that retirement phase, can you clarify the policy or legislation around being able to downsize from your family home and then contribute part of the sale proceeds to your super?
Yes. So the downsizer contribution, I guess, allows you, you sell the property assuming that's owner occupier, so you don't pay tax. We know this. And you have the ability to add these funds into super depending on the amount. And if I'm not wrong, it might be $300,000. But if you go more funds in terms of the leftovers, then we can do something called non-concessional contribution. Or even if you are working still, you haven't met the pension phase, we can do a concessional contribution too, which helps to reduce your tax. The key thing is, with this even division 296, that's what we need to articulate. So how much funds we will add into super and why? What will be the goals? But to answer your question is, yes, we can definitely get some money from the sale of the house into super without any tax implication.
Not bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Not bad loophole. Yeah. The other part that I would love to just quickly touch on is the rules around topping up your super from previous years. If you haven't reached the maximum threshold, Mima and I are actually looking at this right now as well. Is it a period of 5 years that you can look back 5 years and see what you have maxed out, what you haven't maxed out?
Yeah, absolutely. So we got this concept of carry forward rule that allows you to take advantage of the unused caps. And if, let's say, this financial year, the concessional cap is 30,000. If you have contributed 20 over the past 5 years, you can actually add another 50,000 without, going over the cap and paying more tax. It should be considered, particularly for those that are trying to mitigate tax.
I guess especially for business owners.
Absolutely.
Particularly.
Absolutely. And another thing that people that don't pay much attention when they think of investing is that even though you can access super before 60, if you have the vision of long-term investment, superannuation is one of the best environment to invest because you're accumulating wealth for the long term while reducing your tax. And the capital gains rules are different.
Can you expand on that, or is it?
Yeah, so you might be aware, so when you buy an asset out of super, so you bought a property on the 1st of Jan, and if you 1st of Jan 2025, if you sell after 1st of Jan 2026, you pay 50% capital gain on the profit that you made. If you sell before the 1st of Jan 2026, it's 100% on the profit that you made. Inside super, the rules are different. The max that you're going to pay will be 15%.
Huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
Yes, it is. And then for those that can actually apply some patience and think on the long run without losing the liquidity resources, it's such a good thing to do it.
There's some really good points in there.
Yeah.
Some very good points. It's a classic example of just sitting down with a professional and getting the advice from the professional. All general in nature, obviously. Yeah, all general in nature. Two last points that I'd love to touch on. The last one being what we're proud of. I love hearing what people are proud of, but I think this probably ties into that a little bit as we can kind of flow with it. Moving, as we said at the very start, moving into to a new country with a different language, but obviously different culture as well. There's so many people that we welcome to Australia every year. And I think that's such a wonderful, wonderful thing because it brings so much cultural diversity. What is it like moving to a new country? And you obviously help a lot of people that have done that. What is that actually like, moving to a new country for the people that you're helping?
Ooh, yeah. It's such a good question. Let me quickly think. The word that comes to my mind now, it's special. It is extremely rewarding to help others because I felt heaps of uncertainties, and you know a bit of the story, and this is something good to share. Well, we applied for 2 permanent resident visas, and I accepted friends' denial. Yes, when we applied the first one. But the second one, I became a lawyer. I knew everything about immigration. And even though I needed to go to court and prove the judge that immigration made the wrong call because they refused my visa, and then they, at the end of the day, they approved it as a financial advisor. So one of the things that I'm very proud is the resilience to get there, keep myself up, avoiding, the distractions and the non-sayers to prove someone wrong. And then that's one of the feelings that I guess a migrant. I think that in the early stages, you need to always prove people wrong. Yeah, to a degree.
And prove yourself right.
Yes, absolutely. So, and on the top of that, I think I'm very proud for the life that I'm building. It required heaps of patience, to be honest. And I go, wow, when this is going to happen? Because you got a dream. Without a dream, you're going to lose hope. And without hope, you're going to get stuck I remember saying to a friend one day, even before knowing you, I was buying a suit. And then she was like, why are you buying this? Because I'll need it, I replied. And then she was maybe in a bad day, and then she was like, I don't think you need it. And I said, wow, the person that I love the most is saying this. But that's the feeling that we might sort of feel in the beginning when you don't see much options. And then there was kind of a big journey, because when you sort of you set up yourself in terms of being able to work full-time in Australia, people say that you don't have the experience. And then even though you hear and you keep learning English, you go out there, people criticize you, and then you feel like, wow, what am I doing? You know what I mean? But I always kept a big smile on my face, and I just tried to work hard, and that's it.
Yeah, you must be proud of that.
Yes, I am.
You must be very proud. It's compound interest is a big thing but compounding actions is so phenomenal. Just those little bits, as you said, patience and resilience to continue to drive towards where you're trying to get to. I'm proud of you for what you've been able to achieve, and being there in those earlier days where you're trying to fight your PR case and continuing to get knocked back, plus also then having to go through the requalifications, given what happened in terms of the financial advice in Australia as well. To be able to come out on the other side and to sit here as a business owner with your own business that you're building, I'm really proud of you, and it's very special. So I think it's a wonderful place to finish this conversation, because I've loved it. I know that we've got so much more to unpack, which can happen in another episode, but thank you so much for coming in today. I think no doubt the listeners would have appreciated your authentic personality. Is there anything else that you'd love to finish on from Wes, the friend, financial advisor, or business owner?
I think I would like to finish with this word, being authentic. That's something that I learned as well. You gotta embrace your difference, or something unique that you have. That's it came at a later sort of time of my life, but it was great. So once you recognize who you are, once you you know that I believe in God, I believe in Jesus. Once you feel His love, you just feel so good. And then you are, you feel special. And you just go there and do your thing. Would you please everyone? No, but why you would stop? There'll be people around you that will love that. And my accent, the way that I talk, my boldness, everything's perfect. You know what I mean? And that's my final message to everyone. Just embrace who you are and take yourself out there.
Perfectly imperfect.
It is. Yes.
Thanks again, Wes.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Cheers. Thank you so much for listening and being a part of our community at That Backyard Property Podcast. We would love it if you could like, comment, or even share with a family member or a friend that might get something useful from today's episode. We can't wait to see you again next Tuesday.